Hi, everyone, and welcome to game 4 of the match. The score is 3-1 to 5, so that's two-way, four-way. And for those of you familiar with match play, this is one of the most exciting scores, two-way, four-way, because both players are looking for a gammon, right? The leading player, two-away, is looking for an undoubled gammon, and the player who is behind, four-away, is looking to use the cube in a gammonish situation and try to win a gammon and the match in one stroke. Doesn't always happen, but it can be exciting. And so, the trailer especially has to be quite trigger happy with the cube in this situation. And look, once there's even a sniff of a gammon, then you send the cube and try to win. And the advantage of this is also that it takes away gammons from the leader, right? So you're already playing for 2 points, so you don't have to worry about gammons once you send the cube over as the trailer. So anyways, let's have a look and see how it goes. Okay, two-way, four-way, and let's see how the game develops. This game is a little longer than the past ones, and it is an interesting game. Some lessons to be learned. Okay, let's start. Okay, so let's start. So black rolls 6-5 and correctly runs. Okay. And white answers with 4-1, which isn't great. Okay, white is already behind in the race, and there's some weakness in his position, right? 3 blots. And so, of course, he plays 4-1. Notice this play, okay, which is basically just playing to try to get an advanced anchor, which is the safest route to not being gammoned, right? And so it's interesting how close it is, right, between the two. But the standard play is fine still. And let's just have a quick look. You can see after white's kind of poorish roll, black is not far away from a cube. Okay, so if we look here, so you can see that, it is a mistake, but, black does have the advantage, and there are some gammons, okay? But it's a bit early. It's a bit early, but it wouldn't be a huge mistake to ship it already, okay? Because, there are rows like double fours, right? And some other doubles that would, white doesn't need much in this position to pass. And so you don't, black doesn't want to lose his market, right? When he could win a gammon with a doubled cube, and white just simply passes and puts him at 3 away, which isn't a particularly great score, right? Okay, so anyways, it is early, but keep that in mind, yeah? That you do look for these very early opportunities to double. This is a bit early though. Okay. Okay, so with the 4-3, black makes a mistake actually, and it's true that he's ahead in the race, and so he moves his back checker up. But remember, black wants a complicated game here to kind of raise the gammon volatility, that kind of thing. And so XG wants him to bring 2 checkers down, even though there are tons of shots, of course, from the white checkers. But if he's not hit, then he's got some good priming or attacking chances. And if he is hit, then there's lots of return shots. And basically, black wants to mix it up. He doesn't want a straight running game. But unfortunately, that's kind of what he's played here, right? I mean, really, it's a question of at this score, you want to complicate the game, mix things up, and try to aim for volatility in the position. And 2 checkers down is best way to do it. And it also unstacks that point, right? So that's also a benefit of the move. Okay, now one of the problems with stepping up for black here is that he can get pointed on, and white rolls nicely, 3-1, and makes his 5-point. Okay, and black dances. Ouch. Could have really used those sixes, yeah. Okay. So now white has the advantage, and if he can pick up this second checker, then he'll really be doing well, right? Okay, and so white rolls a 6-4, and this is kind of interesting. White thinks, well, basically let's strengthen up the home board and make it difficult for black to come in, but it's not the right strategy, especially at this score. He needs to get his back checkers moving, and as you can see, just making that 9-point is a beautiful blocking position, right? And then jumping out to the 18-point seems to be the best. A close alternative is bringing 2 checkers down and preparing kind of for that 5 prime. Yeah, and if he's hit, if black enters and hits him on the bar point, then white has decent chances of coming in and making a decent anchor. But this play is really a nice one, and with black on the bar, there isn't a high risk of being pummeled, and so basically again, white wants to aim for that advanced anchor, right? And in this case, try to aim for black's bar point for it. So a fairly big mistake here, blunder. Not the right strategy. This is actually more of a play if white were trailing, right? And white wants to increase the gammons as the trailer. So making beefing up the home board would make sense now. Now it's true that white would like to win a gammon here without the cube, but white also doesn't want to lose a gammon, and with these 2 back checkers still kind of where they were, you want to get them moving as well. Okay, so black enters and correctly makes the outfield point, okay, on the 10-point here, yeah. And so, these checkers are going to have to run the gauntlet to get out, okay. So a decent roll. White rolls 6-3. Unfortunately, he missed his chance to hit that outfield blot, but all he has is really to, he's got a 4-point board now, right? Which can't complain too much about. But notice the evaluation. It says that black has the advantage, which might seem surprising here. But, again, you have to get those white checkers out. There's not a lot of flexibility for white if he can't play those white checkers. And so it seems like white is, with such a strong home board, white should have a bigger advantage. But especially in this situation, this is kind of a situation that black wants, right? The ability to hopefully to hit, to build a prime, and try to trap those 2 checkers. And that's going to be more gammonish. So black rolls a 3-3, which is a really nice roll. But unfortunately, he misplays it a little, yeah? And in this case, he goes for just starting to set up a prime. So he makes his bar point, which looks good. It's not a huge mistake, but the alternative is really to beef up your home board a little, okay, and give some teeth to possible attacks. Notice this also strips your midpoint, right, which you'd like to be careful about, because if white is able to jump out somehow, right, with one of these checkers, sort of jump out, let's say out to here, you want to be able to hit from the midpoint without losing the midpoint. Okay, so that's probably another reason why just keeping some spares on the midpoint and making the bar point, that's great, but also making the 3 point is a better alternative in this case. Yeah, it's a little more balance to the position in that case. Yeah. Okay, white is very happy. He rolls a 2-1 and makes his anchor. Okay, even if it's just the 3-point anchor, 22-point anchor. It's a key development to avoid the gammon, right? So black, that's a nice roll for black. Strengthens the home board, okay, and has a broken prime, but still, it's good to unstack the 6-point especially. And 5-5, yeah, this is unfortunately not optimal for white. Okay, he's going to have to start crunching, and in this case, shifting, right? Shifting your point to the 1 is the only thing that makes sense. Of course, he has a 4-point board, so there are some possibilities where black stays out and white's able to jump over with a 6 or a 2-4 or something to get the back checkers going, right? 2-4 or jump out with a 6. But yeah, black is quite happy. This prime is a decent prime, even if it's broken, and if white is has to jump out from there with black able to attack, could be trouble in terms of gammon. Okay, so black is unable to enter on the 4-point board, and white rolls a 5-2. Okay, so the two is mandatory here. Okay, while black is on the bar, especially, you've got to take advantage of trying to get those back checkers moving, even though there's a certain risk to it. Okay, but XG very much prefers not killing a checker here, even though there's added risk of getting hit. Sending the 1 checker to the 3-point basically takes it out of play, kills it, right? And there's still a lot of game going. So even though it's a bit riskier, XG says let's keep all the checkers in play and play to the 8. Yeah, and yeah, White's aware that he has to be careful about gammons, and that's maybe why he opted for the safe play. But once you start killing checkers, then perhaps in the longer term, it's not so safe, right? Because you have fewer checkers to play with. And notice there still aren't that many shots, right? For black to hit coming in from the bar, right? 4-1 and 6-1. And then, of course, black will probably hit on the 5 as well, if possible, but white has the much stronger board. So it's not that risky yet. And so not killing a checker is quite important here, despite the fact that it looks safer. Oh, okay, and black rolls double 6s. Now, fortunately, it's not so, in some cases, double 6s could be. Actually, it's interesting that normally double 6s from the bar, right, is a terrible roll, but white has vacated his 6-point, and so it works, but it's not that good an attacking roll. So all black can really do is go to the 1-point. There is this alternative, just to stay where he is, which is interesting as well. XG says it's close, and both plays are reasonable. Notice that the race is about even now. Okay, after this roll, and so that kind of makes sense that perhaps black should run. Okay, because yeah, the race is even, but white has some trouble getting his checkers out, and he's got a lot of wastage here, right? So all these checkers here already, and so the race is not exactly straightforward, right? With all these wasted checkers, white is actually going to have some trouble to make up, to try to get these guys out and still remain in the race. So that's kind of the rationale for running this. If black had entered with double six and he was still really quite far behind in the race, then yeah, then the play of staying back here would make more sense. Okay, so just remember, I talk about it again and again. Pay attention to the race. XG really bases a lot of its decisions on who's ahead in the race and who's behind in the race. Okay, in this case, it's close enough that XG says running is fine, but do look out for that. Okay, if you have to count, do the pip count. But luckily, if you play online, then you'll see the pip count in most cases. So pay attention to it. Yeah, that'll really help increase your playing level and your PR. Yeah. Okay, so black runs. And as you can see from the evaluation, black has a big advantage. And white is a little exposed here. And white is hoping for, to remake the anchor or to at least escape one checker. And he does do that. He manages to get one checker out, but he's still very much behind because of some of the danger and because of the prime. Yeah. And black takes the opportunity here to double. Okay, and it's a correct double. It's a good double. It might seem a little strange because white is ahead in the race and white has the stronger home board. But because of the score, black's threats are the key factor here. Okay, there's pointing numbers, there's pick and pass numbers, and even though the gammons are not particularly high, right? We're looking at around, right, not quite 10%. It's still worthwhile to ship it and basically look for the attack. Okay, and remember, I just mentioned that even though it looks like white is ahead in the race, these wasted checkers, right, those wasted pips, mean that the race is actually much closer than it actually looks. Okay, so this is a good double for the score, right? This wouldn't be a double at an even score, I don't think. Yeah. Okay, and white takes it. Okay, there are some cases where white would pass just to put his opponent at 3 away, but objectively, what's going on here? Well, white can see daylight. He can jump out. Okay. Obviously, black's home board isn't so threatening yet. And even if there's a pick and pass and black makes a 3-point home board, it's still not all that threatening. And despite the wasted checkers, the race is, let's say even. So there's still chances to win through the race. And white has the stronger home board, so black has to be careful about hitting loose or attacking and pointing on this checker and leaving this checker, open for some kind of hit. Yeah, so it is takeable. And notice the gammon chances are not that, again, 10%, right? Not that high. And white's winning chances are almost 40%. So he correctly evaluates this as a take, even though you have to be very careful about taking cubes at this score. Because, you could get gammoned and lose the match. But there aren't so many gammons here, and white's winning chances are high enough that he can afford to play for the match. Okay? Because, the cube's on 2 now. So white just has to win a single game. Okay, so it's a take. And what does black roll? Let's have a look. He rolls a 6-3. Okay. And he plays somewhat passively, and this is what is part of the problem with sort of XG and the way it evaluates doubles, and that is it expects the player to play very well after the double, and this is quite a large mistake. Okay, so basically with the cube turned, you're playing for the match. So XG says go for it. Okay, make the third home board point and then hit loose. And it seems tremendously risky, but again, you're playing for the match. You've got to win this game and hopefully gammon white in this game to win the match. So you might as well go for it. You're not afraid of being gammoned yourself, right? Because white is already 2 points away. So now that the cube is turned, you have to go for it. That's what XG says. But instead, black just plays on, and yes, he's looking threatening. But if white rolls a 6 now and gets out, then yeah, it's a straight race, and white has perfectly fine chances, right? So let's see what develops. White rolls a 2-1, which isn't great for racing. Okay, then he just has 2 crossovers. And black rolls a 3-1, not very good. Not very good for attacking either. Notice, there's this possible play. This is the only attacking play, but it's pretty weak, right? You really want to keep that 4 point there. It's a good part of the broken prime, so not worth continuing the attack from here. You just hope that white doesn't roll a 6. Yeah, and he just plays it in to the 6 point. But lo and behold, there's the 6 and 5. And so it's close, but white is a slight favorite here. Okay. It's a quite a large roll, and despite the wasted checkers, that does, it does look like white is very happy to get out of here, and so there are no gammons basically, right? So yeah, and it's a straight race now. Okay, black returns with a 6-5 to keep it close. 5-1. Whoever rolls the bigger numbers is going to win this game. And those 5-1 is not great. 2-1 is not great. 3-2 is not great. So 4-1, not optimal, right? Notice there are lots of different plays. Okay, in some cases, even though it seems like it's important to have crossovers, right? As black is doing here, just stacking on the 6 point. But notice the 5 point is quite weak here, right? Just 2 checkers. And since this is going to likely be a long baron, XG does prefer just putting an extra checker, okay, on the 5 point, just using the 1 to do that, yeah. So bear that in mind, especially if you have a long bear off, that in some cases it's better to unstack from the 6 point. It's when the 5 point is a bit light. Okay. Okay, white comes in with the 5-3. Okay, and notice it's very important to play the 3 to the 4 point, because that's very weak. Black rolls a 6-3, and he bears off a checker first, and it's also good for beefing up the 5 point, so quite a nice roll, and he's got the advantage. White rolls a 2-2 and goes all the way to the 4 point. Not much difference between the 2 plays. But yeah, it's close. It's close. Black has to roll some big numbers in order to keep up in this race. And lo and behold, double 5s. Okay, not double 6s would be better, but black can't complain, and he jumps out to a lead. He's got a 70% basically chance of winning now. after that roll, but it depends how many more fives he rolls, right? But yeah, now he's got 4 off, and white doesn't have any off, so that's also a plus. Okay, well, white gets his first checker off. Okay, and black is rolling sixes. That's great. White's trying to keep up, but black is rolling sixes and taking 2 checkers off. 3-1. White's going to have to roll better. 3-2. 3-1 again. Ay, 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 ay. 6-5. Very nice for black. Very nice. He's even though there's 1-5 in there, at least he's rolling sixes, right? Now it's looking very strong. It's 86% chance winning. White needs double sixes. Double fives is not too bad either, but he doesn't get it. He gets 2 checkers off at least. So 5-2. 2 checkers off. 5-2. 2 checkers off. 2 checkers off. No wastage. Ay, ay, ay. White really wanted black to miss there with a 3-2 to have really a decent chance. Of course, now white needs a double six, right? And he doesn't get it. But black misses with a 3-1. So, what's happening here, right? Double sixes, of course. Double fives, right? Double fours isn't enough, right? 1, 2. No, it is enough, yeah. So big doubles, yeah. Can white get big doubles? No. He gets a big roll, but not quite enough, and black wins the game. Okay, so black wins 2 points. So now both players are 2 away. Okay, which generally means that one of the players is going to double as soon as they have a slight advantage, and the next game will be the last game of the match, what we call double match point. So let's see. Should be an exciting finish. I hope you enjoyed this particular game and the lesson involved in terms of, how to play when you are 2 away, 4 away, especially as the trailer, right? Being aggressive with the cube, and once you ship the cube, really looking to maximize gammons to try to finish the match off. And especially since gammons don't matter to you at all, you can take some extra risk. Yeah, so keep that in mind when the score is when you're 4 away, basically, in the score. Okay, well, see you next time.